Hello everyone and welcome back to the Barely Bookish podcast. Today we are continuing on with Jane Eyre and I am once again joined by Alex.
Hello, internet people.
I am going to start off this by saying it makes me uncomfortable that Rochester keeps referring to her as Janet.
Janet.
Because I did not think that Jane was short for Janet.
I think Janet is a pet name for Jane.
Oh.
Right?
I don't know because
I think they're two I think they're two separate names. And he's just like, this is an adjacent name. Hold on, Google. Google is going to tell me what this is.
Yeah, because I'm imagining that like your partner's name is like Steven and you keep calling him something like Samuel. And like to me, those are different names, you know? I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
According to Google, Janet started as a pet form of Jane.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
I have no idea.
I don't like it.
I mean, there is something, there's something diminutive about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, the T makes it a little cutesy, I guess. But, like, I don't know, yeah, it's like calling Sam Bill for me.
Yeah.
Like, these are two different names. What are you doing?
Or it's like if their name is just Sam and you keep calling them like Samuel and you're like, nope, it's just Sam.
Just Sam.
Like if you look at birth certificate, it just says Sam. And you're like, oh, Samuel. And you're like, what?
I actually had a friend who was a Dan, not a Daniel, just Dan.
Really?
And there was a party. His parents hosted a great Kentucky Derby party every year. I went for the beer pong and the after party, not so much for the horses. But
good choice.
At one year, someone called him Daniel, and his parents were like, "It's just Dan." Like they stepped in and intervened, and I was like, "Yes." Like, no, his name is not Daniel. It is Dan. Be respectful.
I love that. I mean, people really assume that they can just, like, pick out your government name.
Yep.
You know? Like and it's like, if I introduce you as a name, stop asking me what it means. You know what I mean?
See, it turns out there are a lot of people who don't get this concept.
Yeah.
Generally speaking. You know, it's just like, if I tell you that I am Alex, and I am a he, him, it's not on you to question that.
Yeah.
That's just basic human respect right there. Mm-hmm. Don't call me Alexander. I fucking hate that name.
I also forgot that that's what that's short for. I was like, what?
Alex is short for something. Yeah, it is. It's a name I hate even more than Alex, so.
Pick a new one. That's the fun part of 2023.
We're working on it.
There you go.
We're experimenting.
Or Finn. Those are your two options.
And Finn is just Finn. He is not Finnegan. I call him that as a nickname, but only I am allowed to do that.
Yeah. Like Moon's nickname is Moonster when she's on her worst behavior. Mm-hmm. But if someone else calls her that, I'm like, what are you doing?
Stop.
She is the best cat. She's never done wrong.
Never done a thing wrong in her life. Excuse me.
I forgot for a second that your username's because of your dog, so I was like, oh, you have two options.
Well, I mean, I'm Finn's dad. That's my other name.
There you go.
Alex and Finn Dad.
I would really appreciate it if you started introducing yourself as Mighty. I just think that'd be really funny. This is Mighty and Finn.
Hello, I am Mighty. This is Finn. Together we are Mighty Finn. You know?
Oh, that'd be so funny. I would be obsessed with that.
Okay, I'm just gonna make a note of that. Put that
Yeah.
down for future reference. Don't mind me.
I just I don't know. I love people's names that are like really dramatic.
Mm, yes.
Yeah. It's
It's
just
hard to
always a good choice.
it's hard to be a John when you're sitting next to Sorrow.
Literally. I don't know. I just like wild names. Like I like there's okay, two options when people pick their new name. I like it either if it's like in it feels very reminiscent of like 2012 Tumblr, or
Mm.
it's like you were walking down the street and you came across something and you're like, that's it. Hey cat, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like when people have names like River.
Mm.
Yeah. I love that. It's like I feel like you were walking to the office and you're like, I have to come up with a new one. I had to pick
Mhm.
something and you cross the river and you're like, that's it.
This
That's
is
the one.
me. This is me.
That's
I
how I make
am
choices.
I am this brook that babbles.
Yes. Obsessed. I don't know. It's just it's too good to me. But I mean, I also named my cat Moon. So,
Is it because you were looking outside and you were like, a moon?
well, it's because we were gonna name her Beerus, and then I got her, and I was like,
You are not Beerus.
yeah. I was
No.
like, this doesn't feel right. And then we were like riding home, her in my lap in a carrier, and we are trying to like come up with names because we are like, well, Scratch's the only one we had. And then I was like, I'm not naming her Luna. It's not
Hmm.
happening. Every black cat's name is Luna. I don't like it. And then also, like, I hate naming cats like Spanish names when I don't speak Spanish. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
a personal thing.
I get it.
Yeah. I don't know, it feels weird. But I was like, no, we're not naming her Luna. And my boyfriend also did not want to name her Luna. It didn't feel right. And he's like, what if we named her Moon? And I'm like, okay,
Oh.
I
So
like
this
it.
was your partner's decision. He did good.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
did
he did
good.
good. Good choice.
I mean,
Shocking, because I usually am the namer of our relationship.
mm,
So,
well, sometimes you get one and it's a good one.
good choice.
We have encountered the perfect name for a black cat, though.
Hmm.
In a previous episode of a different podcast that we did together, we talked about cosmic creepers in bedknobs and broomsticks. Which
Yes.
I'm sorry, that is the perfect name for a black cat. It's
Literally,
just
though.
it's so out
Just
there.
enough dread.
Right. There's dread, there's whimsy though, like creeping,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And there's something that taps into the sort of universal consciousness that I think all cats have in the cosmic sense. So it's a nail on the head, spot on. If I ever own a black cat, its name
Mm-hmm.
will be Cosmic Creepers.
It's just too good of a name, honestly. It's a solid choice. I say that, and I looked over at Moon, and she's sitting in the window shivering. So. Very Jane Eyre of her, truly.
Incredibly. Like, that is what Jane spends a good chunk of this book doing. Trembling at the window.
I just was like, oh, a good cat name would be Eyre. And I'm like, everyone would misspell it.
Yep.
But then if you name your cat Jane, it's like, okay, weirdo, you know?
I mean, listen,
Calm down.
I love pets with human names. This is why I did not name Finn. My mother named Finn because he was originally hers, and then she
Mm-hmm.
had some health issues, and we got him. So it was just a happy coincidence that Finn happened to have a human name already, or he might have gotten a human name.
I wanted to name the cat Agatha because she looks like
Ooh,
an old lady.
yes.
She's hold on, for context, you have to see a kitten photo of her
Ooh, yes, please.
because
I've
that's
never
important.
seen. I don't. Oh, that's a lie. I have seen a Sphinx cat as a kitten before, but only once.
Yeah. We got her at 3 months and she was all wrinkles.
Ah!
Yeah.
Listeners, it's too cute.
It's really good. I'll repost it
Thank
on
you.
Barely Bookish so everybody can see a kitten photo, but she was very wrinkly, and I thought she needed an old lady name. And Daniel was like, "No, we're not doing that." I was like,
Listen,
"Little do you know."
if Moon gets a sister, it's that should be in the cards.
I'm saying, I'm saying, or like, I don't know. Trying to think
Bertha.
of another old lady name. Bertha, good choice too.
Although if it's a Bertha, she's got to be a
Fat.
big
I
cat,
don't know.
a cat
Yeah,
of
like a
size.
huge. It's because it's so close to like, um, what is? I don't know. I just feel like, for some reason, whenever you think of Bertha, you just think of just like a large. Is
I
there?
I mean, there's a thing called there was a I want to say there was like a field artillery piece called Big Bertha.
I'm like, there has to be a reason we all think the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yes, so Big Bertha was a 42 centimeter German siege howitzer from World War II.
Oh.
It's literally just a gigantic cannon. Um, One of the largest ever fielded, according to Wikipedia. But I want to say that's where that association comes from.
Yeah. So it's such a weird association for everyone to think the same thing.
Right. It's like, where the hell did that come from? I mean, I'm sure that there's something in the zeitgeist that led a bunch of American GIs to be like, that's the biggest fucking cannon I've ever seen. Just like Bertha. You're like, what?
Like, someone's wife's name was Bertha, and like they had to go home and like explain. They're like, the rest of the guys named it. It
It
wasn't
wasn't
me. I
me.
swear, babe, it was not. I didn't have anything to do with the naming. Like, go ask Lieutenant. Like, I swear, I
And
swear.
Bertha, who is 6'4" and stacked, he's just like, I don't see the resemblance.
She's just like super like into bodybuilding. She
Yup.
competes on like strong woman.
Yes.
I don't get it.
I don't. It's okay. It's not about you, babe. Please don't break me in half.
uh I don't know. I also like, for some reason, one thing I love is when opposites attract. So I just like very strong built women with like tiny men. So I'm
Oh my!
imagining this man being like 5'2",
This
stick in
was
the breeze.
this was my favorite part of the Dungeons and Dragons movie. If you saw it, was
Yeah.
was the little halfling with his absolutely stacked barbarian girlfriends. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
this is the vibe right here. I'm here
Yeah.
for it all day of the week.
Yeah. I want. I've been talking about wanting like if you could get a Sphinx cat and a Maine Coon mixed,
Ooh,
just like gigantic
naked.
skin cat. Yeah. Or I love when they're like pregnant and they're just like round in the middle. Have you ever seen a pregnant Sphinx?
No.
Giant. Like
Okay.
they're tiny. So Sphinx are like very tiny, and then it's just like tiny little head, tiny little arms, big old belly,
That's adorable.
and all nips on display.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh, it's so funny. And when they walk, they like waddle. Are you looking up a pregnant Sphinx cat? Good, 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 good. I feel like that's a very Bertha energy. They're just giant. Yeah,
Incredible.
I know. The weird thing is they can only have like max like 4 kittens,
Hmm.
and they get humongous.
Uh, Google image search tells me that that is very true.
Yeah, I don't know why. They're just like all out.
They're just living their best Sphinx life.
Yeah, I
Oh my
love when
god,
their
there
little
are so
bellies
many
drag.
pictures of just like these Sphinx cats on their side with their arm sort of up, looking sassy and
Yeah,
pregnant, and I'm just like, wow.
yeah. It's good. It's a
This is a
good.
whole genre of photography that I did not know existed.
Mm-hmm. Very paint me like one of your French girls energy.
100% yes.
Uh, it was funny when Moon was growing. Her like boobs grew first, and then the rest of her body became proportional, and we are all like very uncomfortable for a second.
Not to shame Moon for her body.
Not to shame, but we're like, should we buy our shirts? Like,
Right, should we like cover you?
it was really funny because it's just like that was the first thing that arrived, and I was like, okay, this is weird, but okay. I thought like she got pregnant or something, like somehow, and I was like, I'm sorry.
It's
I'm
like,
so
why are
sorry.
you talking about me?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? This is
Like,
embarrassing.
why are you perceiving me? Very dramatic, cat. Tell me of your woes.
Sing me the song of your sadness.
So we are on to chapter 23. We find out. I didn't get very far then, cat. She's just sitting at the door.
Moon.
Yeah.
Nap.
Very dramatic. Very dramatic. So it's now Midsummer's Eve, and Adele went to bed early. Oh my god.
She's like, this state of affairs is completely unacceptable.
So it's now Midsummer's Eve, and Adele went to bed early. So Jane decides to go in for a walk in the garden, and then she smells Rochester's cigar. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then she decides that she does not want to talk to him for some reason, and she's gonna sneak around.
She's like, nah, actually.
I love that she's like, man, I'm pining for this man, and then she like has an opportunity to speak to him. She's like, ugh.
She's like, absolutely not. No.
She's like, sorry, I gotta go. Bye.
Bye.
And then so she's like goes to run by him, and he's like, hey Jane, come on over here. What are you doing? What's up, girl?
Jane absolutely rolling a nat 1 on her stealth check. Just
yeah. She just knocked over like 17 pans. How'd they get out there?
What are these doing here? Clang, boom.
And then Rochester says that Jane has to get a new station because he's marrying Miss Ingram. And Jane's like, oh yeah, what?
What? She's like, but she's terrible.
She's like, but I hate her.
Right, like she's the worst.
She's gross. She smells like cabbage.
She's not even that pretty, which is not true.
Even that pretty. Jane's like, Jane's honestly like, oh, she's the prettiest person I've ever seen, but she's the worst.
Uh-huh. I mean, we've all met that person, so I get it.
She's pretty, but she has an ugly heart.
Ugly on the inside. Yes.
On the inside. You know, where it matters.
Where it matters. Like you, Rochester, you're ugly as shit, but like, I like you.
I love that, like, Roger's like, don't you think I'm kind of handsome? And Jane's like, no.
Not even a little, my guy.
Yeah. She's like, you're actually, like, atrocious.
Right, just
personally.
Like repulsive. But, you know, you have an inner beauty.
Every time I see you, I throw up in my mouth a little.
Right, but then you're mean to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, right. That's why I like
oh, that's
him.
hot. Okay.
Right.
Anyways. Maybe I should have packed that in therapy. I don't know. He's like, I'm going to send you to Ireland to raise 5 girls. And Jane's like, what? I hate children.
Just absolutely no.
Yeah, she's like, I want nothing to do with that, actually. That sounds awful.
Terrible? And it means I'm in Ireland? Gross?
She's like, I'm going to be so far from you. And he's like, yeah, I'll never see you again.
Shoot.
And Jane's like, what?
Yes.
And then she's like, okay, listen, guy. I love you. Okay, bye. And he's like, what?
He's like, wait, hold on.
Backpedal.
Let's walk that back just a second.
Yeah. She like pours her heart out for him, and then she's like, all right, now that I said that, I'll leave now. I'm gonna go pack my bag. And he's like,
right. She's so good at trauma dumping.
I'm obsessed with it.
It's just like,
Very concise.
oh, right. Just like I, who have never been able to say anything to people, she's just like, here is the intense depth of my emotion, and the fact that I am forlorn and bereft because I will never see you again, and life has no meaning. Anyway, I have dresses to pack, so good day.
Anyway, deuces.
Deuces.
Jane said, let's blow this popsicle stand. Okay. I love the idea that, like, someone books a therapy appointment for Jane, and the therapist is like, all right, tell me about your troubles, Jane. She goes, oh, do you want my trauma? Okay.
Right,
So
yeah.
I made a chronological list of everything that's wrong with me from the moment I was born.
Right.
I did email that to you before because
Right,
I thought it would, like...
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it would speed along this, and then I could just go into detail about these certain things that are causing some of my traumas.
Unfortunately, all she has is Rochester, who's just like, all that trauma's super hot.
Yeah. Really into it.
Really into it.
He's like, actually, the more trauma, I find that seems to work better for me, like, especially if you have daddy issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the one.
He's into it.
He's like, it's actually a requirement. When on my Bumble profile, it says daddy issues only.
DIO, daddy issues only.
Come here, cat. Stop screaming into the void. I'm like, how am I never going to be a professional podcaster? And this is the reason right here. Like, thank you for being on my podcast. Let me talk to my cat really quick.
I will not stand for this moon slander.
And she's on the bed. Okay. So, after throwing her heart at his feet and being like, okay, bye, he's like, okay, why don't you just marry me then? And Jane's like, what?
She's like, Mescus? You are already getting married, sir.
Yeah, she's
sir?
like, Miss Ingram.
And he's just like, I don't know that bitch.
He's
Who
like,
dat?
Who?
Who dat? I don't know.
The way he's like, I don't know who you're talking about. Like, what do you mean?
It's so
and she's
good.
like, you've been talking about him for months. What are you doing?
It's incredible. And he's so like, he loves his little games. You know, he's just like, I'm getting married.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think of this new coach for the new Mrs. Rochester?
They're so mean to each other.
Yes.
And I eat it up every time. She's like, it's so tasty. But she'll be like talking to him, and he'll be like, man, I just want to be loved. And she'll be like, from who?
Right. She's like, well, that's never gonna happen. So
I just imagine them in like 20 years, him being like mad at her and being like, babe, I just like, I really need your help tying this tie. And she'll be like, ask your other wife.
Yes.
You know. Like, that's the kind of relationship I foresee, and I love it. Like, as someone who picks on my partner to show love, obsessed with it.
I'm really interested in your thoughts on the next chapter then. Anyway.
It was my favorite chapter, not gonna lie to you.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's so good. So she's like, what about your other wife? Like, and he's like, oh, Miss Ingram, that was a joke. That's not actually gonna happen.
Right.
I just wanted to see what happened.
It was just a big JK, you know? Like, yeah, as one does. You just court someone for months, and then you're like, actually, nah.
Yeah, and Jane's like, don't you think she's gonna be offended or hurt? And he's like, do you actually care? Which is the reaction I love. I was like, good choice.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, why do you care? She's literally mean.
Like, honestly, the worst. So
I thought it'd be some fun karma. I don't know.
Is this the chapter where he's like, yeah, I spread rumors about myself that I'm poor, even though I'm totally not?
No, that's next chapter.
Okay, all right.
We'll get there.
Okay.
So, it started raining. They
Mm,
run inside. It's very, very Hallmark.
yes, it absolutely is.
So good. I would love to see Hallmark make this. Just for me, for like a fun little. Okay, I love a good terrible Hallmark movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like in my grandma era, I want to be crocheting Hallmark movies on. Every single time I'm gonna predict them and still love it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like man from big city, come to small town, Christmas tree farm. Like he's got to save the family Christmas tree farm. And, the little barista who owns her own business, by the way,
Yeah,
also a barista still
girl
in this very
boss.
small town, girl
Yep.
boss. Um, she has to remind him the meaning of Christmas
And the meaning of love. She's
and
got
the
to
meaning of
crack open.
love.
She's got to crack open that hard city heart,
Yeah.
with some small town affection.
And somehow he has to like break up with his fiance who doesn't like Christmas.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I
Every
mean,
time.
there you go. You've plotted 90% of Hallmark Christmas movies, and they're all good.
I know.
They're
I'll
all
never get
bad,
over it.
but they're all good.
Yeah. They feel very AI written. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there is a shop of some kind. Like Hallmark probably has very strict guidelines for what they're looking for in their Christmas movie. They're like, is there a big city? No? Get out of here with that shit. Is there a
I'm
small
just
town? Good. Good. We're on the right track.
perfect,
Is it
perfect.
Christmas time? Yes. All right. Good. Are there
Good, good,
Christmas
good.
trees? Is there a farm of Christmas trees? All right. Yep. We're on the right track.
I'm just imagining they have like one writer and like they'll be like, Jerry, we need a Christmas movie, and he just like sends them the same script and changes out names. And they're like,
Yes.
perfect every time, Jerry. Every
Everyone's
time.
a winner, Jerry.
They run inside, it's raining. And then Mrs. Fairfax sees them fully making out.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, oh, what? And Jane's like, no explanations. I'm just gonna
Zero.
run to my room now.
Right? Jane's like, absolutely not gonna tell her. We cannot tell her. We're just gonna I'll let Rochester deal with it. This is his problem.
Yeah. Whatever. I'm just gonna mac with my boss really quick in front of my coworker. And I don't know
Mhm.
why that's a problem.
I see no issues here.
So Adele lets them know lets Jane know the next morning that apparently the tree they were sitting under was struck by lightning.
Absolutely demolished.
Yeah. She's like, the tree's not even standing anymore. Isn't that crazy?
Jane's like, I wonder if there's an omen in this.
Yeah. Jane's like sees like 6 dead birds on her front porch and she's like, huh, weird.
Interesting.
Yeah. Then we're on to chapter 24. So Jane wakes up and she's like, did I dream all that? Because like this seems a little too crazy.
It's a lot, Jane. You
Yeah.
go from 0 to engaged in like 20 minutes. It's crazy.
Yeah. I know. And I'm obsessed with it. Love that for her.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
So
whomst amongst us hasn't been engaged to our boss after 20 minutes? You know,
who's amongst us?
it's just a standard thing that happens.
Yes. One day you're 19.
Mm-hmm.
The next you're engaged to your boss.
Who's ugly
Third,
and mean.
who's ugly and mean. Honestly, a real winner.
But he is wealthy, so there is that.
He's kind of snarky, which we all know is the hottest trait.
Snark is the hottest trait. It's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. On her dating profile, Jane Eyre's dating profile says top reasons, the things, qualifications for any husband: snark, ugly.
Yup. I mean, again, we are running into the fact that Jane has known 4 men in her life, and 3 of
Mm-hmm.
them have been the worst human beings who ever existed, and the 4th
Mm-hmm.
is the doctor that
Yep.
treated her as a child.
Yep. And like pushed them to put her in school so
Right,
she could get out of their abuse. So,
right. Otherwise, it's Brocklehurst, it's her cousin John, and it's Rochester, all of whom are the biggest shits in the history of humankind.
yep. Yep.
And Rochester's the only one who's not a billion years old or related to her and also dead.
Mm-hmm. And Jane's like, that's all I need.
Right, this is all I need. I need a warm body who is not related to me and is not a billion years old. Great.
Yep.
Found it.
Perfect. Husband material. So she runs outside, sees some random poor people, and she's like, here, money for you.
Take my money.
Yeah. And I like there was an insinuation that they were walking up to the house too.
Yeah, they were coming to the house for something, and Jane's just like, here, poor friends, leave. Take my money and leave.
Like, I'm imagining these people were trying to be like, hi, are you hiring? And Jane's like, here, poors.
Oh, are you the poors from town? Here you go. Jane, who had no money in her life up to like a week ago, when
Yeah.
Rochester was like, here's $10. And she's
Yep.
like, this is the most money I've seen in my entire life.
Jane's like, I'm filthy rich now, so.
Right? Big stankin' rich. Just
Yep.
take it. Whatever. His money is my money is your money now, friends.
Mm-hmm. Jane going to the poorhouse and it's like, here's thousands of dollars. What am I going to use it for?
Right. Jane, who's like, I need 2 clothings, and that's it.
Both black.
Right. I do not wish colors. Colors are Satan's tools.
Whomst amongst us has not also worn color as Satan's tool?
Guilty as charged.
Oh my god. So during breakfast, she's eating with Mrs. Fairfax, who's being like a, a bit of a bee to her.
Such a bee. But you know what? From Jane's perspective, absolutely a bee. But from the perspective of like a person of the world who's like, hey, maybe it's a little weird that you're now engaged to your boss after knowing him for 4 months. Like, listen, there are consent issues involved, and Mrs. Fairfax is just like, I just want you to be sure. And I want, and you know what? Tough love. I appreciate Mrs. Fairfax in this moment because Jane, honestly, not making great life choices. Like, I understand in the narrative arc, but like, girl, slow.
We're gonna have to talk about it more when there's the whole conversation with Mrs. Fairfax, because I have some things to say about that one.
Okay.
But Jane's like, I don't know why she's being weird. Anyways, I'm gonna go now.
Yeah, bye-bye.
So she goes to Mr. Rochester's room, greets him good morning by absolutely making out with him. And then he's like, we're going to be married in 4 weeks, Janet. And I'm like, Janet? I thought...
Pet name?
I thought he was going to be calling her by his ex's name. I'm not going to lie to you.
That would have been fucking hilarious.
Yeah. If they would have told me that his ex's name was Janet, I would have cackled.
I mean, there is some big Ron Swanson energy in that. My first wife was Tammy. My second wife is also named Tammy. My mother is Tammy. Yeah, absolutely.
I love Ron Swanson.
But I'm just picturing like Rochester sleeping in this giant, like double, big poster bed. Pleasant dreams. Just got to make out with his employee who he's been hankering after for a long time. Jane just like kicks the door open, just like boosh. She's standing there, just like jumps onto the bed, and he's like, whoa there, okay, I'm an old man, hold on.
Yeah, hold on, my young spree wife.
Right, like, and I don't know if I think it's in maybe it's in this chapter where Mrs. Fairfax is like, "You're 19. He's like a billion. He's like 50
Yeah.
years old."
Yeah. Oh my god, she's Mrs. Fairfax is like, he could literally be your father, and she goes, but he's not.
He's not. Right. He has fulfilled the qualification for not being a relative. So it's fine.
Oh my gosh, this is like very much like when the young hot hostess ends up dating the busboy that's like kind of ancient and on his like fifth divorce.
Yes. And you're like, "What
And
are
you're
you
like,
doing? Stop. Wait."
why do the line cooks always go after the hostess? It's weird.
It's the natural order of the universe, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Line cooks
I
will
have
go after hostesses.
Mhm.
Aging bachelors in crumbling manners will go after governesses. It's just the way of it.
I know. I had a friend that dated the line cook that was 10 years older than her. And I'm like,
Girl.
you're one of them. Welcome to the statistic.
You are the statistic, my friend. Jane is the statistic.
I think about the statistic too when I you know like how people on the 20th birthday, a lot of family will make them cakes that'll be like, congrats on beating teen pregnancy.
I did not know. That was never a thing
Oh.
in my home. Nope.
Yeah, okay, so that's like a bit of a thing now. um so that's like, you'll do it for your friends, not around family, or like you'll do it for your siblings, not around your parents.
Okay.
And I saw someone that did that as a little hee hee ha ha. The same day while the family was gathering, she was announcing her pregnancy on her 20th birthday party.
Well, did beat teen pregnancy.
That's what I'm saying. She
Yeah,
did beat it.
just like skin of the teeth, but there you are.
But she told the sister before the cake came out. So there was a video of the sister on the TikTok like trying to like scrape off the icing.
I almost had hot coffee come out of my nose. Thank you.
You're welcome. I feel like that was necessary for you.
I wonder if Mrs. Rochester baked a cake that was like, "Congratulations on not sleeping with your boss." And then she's just like got this cake. She's standing there seeing Jane and Miss Rochester macking in the foyer. She's just like shaking her head. Just like,
Yeah.
God damn it.
Congrats on becoming a spinster. And then she's like, son of
Mm. Right, because
So
Mrs. Fairfax was like, Jane is almost 20, which means she is past marrying age. So, I will have a spinster friend.
yeah.
And it's
She's
not
like, perfect.
although I guess Miss Fairfax is not technically a spinster. She's a widow. Because she was
that
married.
is just late stage spinstering.
Late stage spinsterdom.
Spinster dupe, if you will.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So Mrs. Fairfax, the late stage spinster, was hoping to induct a new member into the spinsterhood, and is very upset that didn't happen.
I mean, who's Jane gonna marry? She's at a clandestine like manor house in the woods with only female servants for some reason.
Yep. Oh, well,
So,
there's a coachman, but he's married.
Yeah. The one man also married.
The one dude is married.
I just think like the idea of being Rochester sitting down one day and going to hire servants and be like, "Oh, you're a man. Are you married? Sorry, if you're not married, you can't work here."
Get out. Get out. No, Rochester definitely has big like small business law firm owner who only hires like really hot young paralegal women,
Mhm.
like you walk into that office and you're like, someone has a type. Okay.
Yeah. It's like, wow, Rochester, it's kind of weird. Like I went into your manor and like everybody looks like a Victoria's Secret angel.
What's up with that?
Yeah, what's up with that?
And he's just like, they were best qualified, you know.
They're really good at folding laundry. I don't
Really
know.
incredibly good at it.
Yeah. And they're like, really? Because, Agatha over there just kind of like bunching them and throwing them in the cabinet. But okay.
That's how I like them.
I think folding is honestly just a social construct. So,
right. So just put it however, you know.
Yeah. Clean was kind of my only qualification here.
Yeah, Agatha's a free spirit who does things her own way. An independent entrepreneur, free thinker, if you will.
Yeah.
That's why
a self-starter.
Right. That is why she was hired.
So he's like, oh, hey, babe, just so you know, I ordered the jewels to be brought over for you. And Jane's like, what?
What? Hold on.
Jane's like, look at me. Do I look like a jewels girl?
The answer, of course, is decidedly no.
I just like her looking at her hemline of her dress, which is like ragged and like very misshapen, torn in a couple places with dirt stains, and she's like, yeah, no. And then he keeps calling Jane a beauty, and Jane's like, all right, please stop. You're making me very uncomfortable.
Just like, you're laying it on a little thick, my guy. I'm not going to say you're handsome, so please stop.
She's like, this flattery is making me uncomfortable. Can we go back to being mean to each other, please?
Yes.
And he's like, you want me to be mean to you? And Jane's like, yeah, say I look like a toad.
Please.
Big into degradation over there.
Yes.
So, he's like, okay, we're gonna go get you some dresses for 1, the wedding, and 2, the rest of it. And Jane's like, do we have to?
I love as soon as he starts being nice, she's just like, walls up.
Yeah.
Shields, defenses, this is, nope,
Yeah.
I hate it.
She's like, whoa, this is not the kind of relationship we have.
No.
Bully me a little.
Just, like, I understand that it's supposed to be like Jane Eyre is an independent woman who doesn't want to get tied down by Rochester, but it does come across as she's just super into negging and wants to, and just wants to be stepped on a little, you know?
It just, like, it just makes me laugh that, like, Jade is just like, listen, I'm not gonna start like being really romantic with you. If you want that, you got the wrong girl. Wrong. She's
right.
Like, the next 4 weeks, you're gonna see the worst in me.
Yeah, I fucking love her plan. She's like, he is being a little too, I don't know, like, silver lining, rose tinted glasses. So I'm just gonna drag him constantly for
to
weeks.
Filth.
Right. Just, and maybe then, if he still tolerates me, we can get married. And I'm like, you know, there is both a genius and a madness to that.
I'm obsessed with it. Like, coming from me, I'm a bit of a bruh girl, you know? So, like, I love it. I'm like, yeah, Jane, drag him to filth. See if he puts up with it. Like, very enemies to lovers. Very, like, okay, my biggest pet peeve is when enemies to lovers, when they become lovers, and then they're like, oh, babe, how are you today? I've missed you so much. I'm like, excuse me? Where's the snark? Where's the banter?
That is what makes it good.
Yeah.
And Jane agrees.
It keeps it interesting. Yeah, Jane just, like, walks past him. She's like, hey, ugly. Keeps walking.
She's like, walks into a room. She's like, I thought I smelled you. What are you doing? Being boring? Okay. I'm gonna go be elsewhere, I guess, because I can't deal with this.
I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. It's my favorite. So Jane's like, I bet you'll stop liking me in 6 months. And he's like, why would you say that?
I love that he's trying to do a, like, romantic, like, a romantic partner thing, and Jane's
Hmm.
just like, this is an act and I'm going to expose it and tear it the fuck down.
She's like, I'm placing bets. I think that you'll want to divorce me in a year and a half. And he's like,
Huh?
what? What?
She's
And
like,
he's like, we're
actually
gonna
maybe
travel the
6 months.
world. He's like, we're gonna travel the world. And she's like, you're gonna drag me across the world? He's like, drag you? Like, I thought it'd be fun. And Jane's like, fun?
Um,
Have you met me?
do you see my pale English skin? Do you think that's gonna do well in Italy? I don't think so.
She's like, what do I have to see in Italy? Music? Food? No. I don't eat, and I don't like music.
He's like, you can see things of antiquity, and Jane's like, don't wanna.
I want to sit here at the moors.
Right. Is there a single Moor in
Yeah.
Italy? No. Not interested.
Where are the Fey wilds that I like to roam free in? Not in Italy.
Not in Italy at all. We can go to Brittany. We can go to France. That's like the one other place where we can go be Fey. But
Yeah.
I guess Ireland
I
if I wanted to, but I don't want to go to Ireland.
She's like, you were gonna dump me in Ireland, so I don't think I want to go.
Right. I'm writing the whole country off because of that one time you were like, you should go to Ireland, Jane, and I didn't want to.
Yeah. I also love how obsessed he is with her. Like everything she does, it's just hard eyes all the time. He's like following her around like a puppy, and she's like, "Stop following me."
And he's, I just love the way you walk. And then so she sits for an entire day just so he.
Yeah. It's so good. It's my favorite. Like she's very much one of those people that like he's like, I love how long your hair is, and she's like, I'm cutting it off.
Right, cutting it off. Just whatever it takes. And of course,
so good.
I love how quickly she settles into that too. From being like going from the I'm a sassy servant or I'm a sassy employee to I'm now I'm now an even sassier fiance. Like,
Yeah.
she just fucking owns it so fast. She's like, you know what? This is my place in the world, and that's fine, and I'm gonna make the most of it.
So good. So good. I love that the sass never fails. Truly.
No, it just intensifies.
So she's like, listen, do you want to make me happy? And he's like, yeah, anything. She's like, don't bring the jewels.
She just fucking sets him up.
Yeah. She's like, do you actually love me? And he's like, of course.
It's like, don't do that thing.
Yeah.
Serious eyes.
Ever. Yeah.
Right.
And he's like, okay, but like, if I'm getting you, like, not getting you something, I have to get you something. Like, you just promised me I could get you something. And she's like, ugh, no.
Pass.
She's like, okay, what you can give me is you can tell me the truth. Why did you keep lying about Mrs. Ingram?
Yes.
So good.
I want to say she's just a lot smarter than Rochester, or at the very least, she's much more like disconnected from what's going on. Like she's taken herself out of herself, because he's like full on like, I'm going to charm this person, and he's so bad at it. Although
funny.
she still loves it, but like I feel like it's one of those, this conversation is like Rochester in a field and Jane's just putting down rakes for him to step on and smack himself in the face.
Yeah.
And then she's standing at the other end so that he'll walk right into it. She's like,
oh yeah,
if you really love me, you'd do something for me. He's like, sure, Jane, whatever. Smack.
Have we not all been there though?
Oh, 100%.
Whomst amongst us hasn't been looking at our partner, knowing something, wanting information, and you'd be like, how much do you love me?
Tink, 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 but maybe if you told me.
Is there any chance you're getting up by chance?
Right. Like, are you going to the kitchen? Because if you are,
I'm just thinking, wouldn't it be nice if we had a little treat right now?
You want me to make the treat? Oh,
Yeah,
well, I
yeah. Well,
mean,
I mean, if
if
you're
it
not busy,
right, if it's not out of your way,
if you're getting yourself a treat,
right, I would like
like
one
if
too.
you're walking down the Walmart aisle and you see, I don't know, the queso ruffles,
Right,
just grab a couple,
just a
just a
couple.
couple. Yeah.
Wait, I wasn't planning on going to Walmart. Oh, well, I mean, I don't
Oh,
want you to make a, I don't want you to make a special trip, but I mean, if you
I
loved
am
me, you would.
starving, and the only thing that will quench my hunger would be the queso ruffles.
It's like we have 3 bags of chips in the pantry.
But they're lime,
Right.
and you know I don't like lime. So
Why did you buy the lime?
Daniel loves the lime, and he
Ah.
buys them for himself.
Mm. Daniel, why are you so
And I
selfish?
think they're disgusting.
Oh.
I hate them. But I don't like lime.
Mm.
So whenever he makes dip, he gets himself an entire. He makes his queso dip, and whenever he makes it, he gets himself an entire bag of chips, and me my own family-sized bag of chips. And then we have to ration them.
I
We
get
don't
it.
touch each other's chips.
Okay.
anytime he gets chips, we each get our own independent family bag of chip.
Good. I mean, that is,
Yeah.
yes, as is right and proper.
We've learned we're not very good at sharing food.
Mm.
It does have to be divided prior to us eating it, because one of us eats faster and doesn't notice when they go over, and then starts getting stabbed with the fork. So
I'm just picturing Jane doing an interview like this. It's like, Mr. Rochester buys me dresses. They have color. I hate color. So when we go dress shopping, I have to talk to the clerks separately and say, I know he's buying me color dresses, but could you just lose those, or like do a substitute, or you know, like there's enough there. One of us in this relationship likes color. It's not me.
I'm imagining that when she, like, this is okay, right now we're in the honeymoon phase, but in like a year they have moved, and she found the Goth store and says that's the only store that makes dresses in town.
Right.
And so like every time they had to go dress shopping, they like go to the store and it's all like black and gray silks, and Rochester's like, where's the color? And then she sits in her interview stall and she's like, the store with all the colors down the street. We don't go on that street.
Nope.
I told him that that's where brothels are.
100%.
And then if he's a good Christian man, he'll never go on that street. So far it's worked.
I just like the idea that Jane is shopping in the Victorian Hot Topic, and Rochester's like, why are there so many band shirts that I've never heard of?
And then there's a funeral parlor next door too.
It's like, do you smell embalming fluid, or is it just me? And Jane's like, no, that's my preferred scent.
Yeah, Jane's like, that's my natural musk.
You'll have to get used to that.
Like she goes into the store and she goes, oh, you have embalming fluid in a liquid, like in a perfume spray? This is the best place ever.
I'll take it. I'll take 3 bottles of it. Put it on his card.
And he's like, oh my god, like this bed kind of looks like a coffin. And Jane's like, I need a new one. Perfect. Put it in the cart.
Great. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, he confesses that he thought making her jealous would make her fall madly in love. Jane's like, that's a terrible idea. And he's like, but it worked though, right? And she goes, I liked you before, moron. And then she's like, all right, another thing you have to do for me. And he's like, anything. Another trap.
Just he keeps walking into it.
I'm imagining like walking in this field. He takes one step to the right after just smacking his face, right directly onto another.
Yep. It's man.
And then she's like, um, she tells Rochester that he has to go inform Mrs. Fairfax. He goes, "You want me to fire her?" And she's like, "No, wait.
No.
You just need to let her know what's going on." And he's like, "Oh, I
Does she
guess. But if
matter?
she's being mean to you, I'll fire her."
Right.
Which, love the
Yep.
support, love the energy.
Absolutely.
And she's like, "No, she's not being mean. Just go fill her in. Okay. Can you do that for me without firing her?" All right.
He's like, I guess.
So he goes and fills her in. Jane go gets a bonnet on. Don't know why. And then comes back down. And Mrs. Fairfax is astounded. She's like, I did not see this coming at all.
No, in
What?
fact, I tried to actively prevent this from happening.
Yeah. He's like, I thought he might be a little into you, and I made a lot of effort to make sure that did not continue to be the case. And she's like, what? And Mrs. Fairfax is like, listen, he is 20 years older than you. You don't have much experience with men. Are you sure this is the way you want to go with the world?
Mrs. Fairfax is being a queen. I'm sorry. She's
Yes.
like, you are dumb. You are young and dumb. Do not fall for the first ugly rich man who's like, I want to bang you. And Jane's like,
Yep. This is in high school, being a woman. There's always going to be a senior when you're a freshman that's hitting on you, and there's going to be a senior girl that pulls you aside and is like, listen, he tries to like bang every freshman that walks in this door. Run.
Don't fall for it. Get out.
Don't fall for it. She's being a queen. She is looking out. A girl's girl.
Yes. We stan Mrs. Fairfax in this moment because she's the only one speaking reason.
Mm-hmm.
And
all the
honestly,
other servants are like, whatever.
Honestly, I think does she also know?
I don't know if she knows.
Because if she knows, there's an obvious reason for why she would say, "Hey, don't do this." But if she doesn't know, that makes her actions even better, pure. I'd say. 'Cause she's just like, listen, he's a weirdo. You know him. He's a fucking weirdo.
She's like, first of all, you are a fairly normal looking girl. And Jane's like, I'm ugly, but okay. And then she's like, you could have any man. You're literally 19. And like, if you walk to the bar, if you go down to the street, you go into town once, you can find yourself a husband.
Yep.
Okay. And Jane's like, he's above my station. And like, Mrs. Fairfax is like, yeah, another reason that's weird. But I also felt like Mrs. Fairfax was hinting that like he was going to try and take advantage of her before they got married and then like dip. And then Jane's like, okay, I can see this point. This is probably a very valid argument. Huh. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be mean to him ruthlessly.
I'm going to be so mean to him.
And I love Mrs. Fairfax trying to coach her. So they are going to town after she has this conversation with Mrs. Fairfax. And it's like, Jane's like, you know what? I don't think I want to be alone with him. Just, this is like really prying on my mind. Let's have a group family outing. So she's like, let's bring Adele. And he's like, what?
Why?
He's like, and then he calls Adele a brat. He's like, I'm not bringing the brat. And she's like, we're bringing Adele.
I feel like his reaction, she's like, let's bring Adele. And his first reaction is like, who? Oh, why?
Why?
Okay. No.
And then Jane gets Adele to go. He's super reluctant. And he's like, I'm going to send Adele to school. And Jane's like, you will do no such thing.
How dare.
And then he's like, I just want you all to myself, Jane. And Jane's like, no.
Right. He's like, Jane, you do not need to be a governess for the next 4 weeks. And Jane's like, the fuck I don't.
She's like, I'm a self-employed businesswoman.
Right. You will not take this from me, sir.
Rochester starts telling Adele about this adorable story about the moon and a fairy and how he's going to take Jane to the
Gonna
moon
go to
and
the
that
moon.
Jane's the fairy. And Adele's like, I don't believe you. This is makeup.
This is one of my favorite scenes because Adele is just like, how are you going to eat? What is Jane going to wear? Like, she has all of these very practical questions
It's
about
so funny.
moon living. And then at the
Yeah.
end, she's like, but Jane doesn't want to go to the moon with you because you're weird.
Okay, I'm imagining Adele is like 5, you know?
She's definitely under 10. I think she's
Yeah.
closer to like 8 or 9, but like,
Yeah.
she's just a wee thing.
Yeah. I'm just imagining like my friends' kids are like the oldest one's like 7, so I can imagine this conversation with that kid and her being like, the moon,
Is
weirdo.
There are no stores on the moon. Where will you live?
How are you gonna have friends?
Right.
And Jane's like, also, I already don't have friends.
Right. Jane's like, this is not a concern of mine.
Yeah.
But thank you for assuming.
Thank you. So they get to the store. Adele's having a great time. Jane is very uncomfortable with being like dressed nicely. Like, I'm imagining, like, have you ever read a romance book where like the dude's a billionaire and she's the barista at Starbucks? Okay. Because there's always a shopping scene in which he spends like multiple years of her salary on one outfit for her. They're like, we're going to a government gala. And so he like buys her a dress and it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes. 100%. Like, I appreciate how uncomfortable she is with money, not just having never had it, but she's also like, this is weird. Like, there's a nice subtle class consciousness about Jane Eyre, which I appreciate.
I'm just imagining that he basically brought her into Louis Vuitton and was like, yeah, pick up a purse.
Right, just pick something. And she's like, could we go to the outlet instead?
Yeah. Jane's like, I'm uncomfortable with owning something more than I would make in 10 years.
Which, like, honestly, fair. I get it.
Yeah. Like, there's a reason I don't think I'll ever own a Louis bag. And it's because I won't use it knowing how expensive it is.
It would just sit there being unused. Because, don't want to fuck that shit up.
Yeah. Like, I'm the kind of person I'd rather own, like, an expensive gaming computer than something, like, because if something happens to your gaming computer, you can replace the parts in it. If something happens to the $1 million purse, what do? You can't replace the parts.
Nope. You throw it away. Get a new one. Because you have the money to do it.
I want to throw up. It's like I saw this guy buying like live bait, okay? And loading it into his Tesla. And all I was thinking about, I was like, first of all, that spills. 2, now your Tesla smells like bait. It smells like chum, you know? What? People
make decisions every day, and I'm just like, that was the wrong one, my guy.
Yeah. Not the right one, for sure.
Not the decision. Well, insofar as not the decision I would make.
I think about it all the time. Because I'm like, my idea is like, if you own a Tesla, do you not have the money to own a secondary vehicle?
One would think.
Like, I feel like you should have a fishing pickup truck or something. Like, it's weird to me that you only own this Tesla SUV.
Yeah, you want your fishing pickup so that can smell like chum and can have bits of things everywhere. No, not.
Granted, like, where are you strapping the poles?
To the top of the Tesla.
Yeah.
Maybe they're collapsible, Rachel.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even factor that in. Somehow worse,
If you
you
can
know,
afford a Tesla, maybe you can afford fancy fishing poles that
the
fit in the
telescoping.
Tesla.
Ugh, weird, wild. So she ends up writing to her uncle that wanted to adopt her and is like, hey, heads up, I'm getting married.
Who
Never
who thinks she's dead, by the way. He was
Yeah.
told that she's dead. And Mrs. Reed is like, fucking contact him. I don't care. I'm out. And Jane's like, not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah. She's like, may as well.
I'll do that. Thank you.
So Jane looks at Rochester's like, we're gonna act like we always have until we're married. I don't want to be the English version of your ex and be all fancied up. And I'm like, slay.
Mm-hmm.
Deep cut, but slay. Um, and then like I love the next day, this basically all fails, and she's like, all right, play me a song now.
Yes.
And he plays her like the most like love song of all love songs about like dying for his wife, and she's like, why would you die for me? It's weird.
It's really weird, man. I
Jane's like,
also
what if I don't want to die? Like, have you ever thought about that?
I also love that she sits down to play and she's really bad, and so he just fucking like shoves her away, and she's like, "This is exactly what I wanted."
Like, I don't know if you've ever done this, but like, you get out the power tool that you know your partner knows how to use because you've been like waiting for them to do something for a while and they're
Mm.
taking slightly too long. So you just grab a tool that you know you don't know how to use and they know you don't know how to use. And you're like, I'm getting the screwdriver. And you're like, that's not a screwdriver.
Just
What are you doing?
holding a socket wrench. I have the screwdriver and I'm ready to go.
And then you're like, I'm going to just start building this, I guess. Woe was me.
I can't say I've ever used that tactic, but I will mark it down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a great way of communication. However,
It
effective.
it is a way of communicating. So
It is a way. Uh, I think about this guy I saw um on TikTok. He she was like, "Hey, I need you to build me whatever." And he's like, "Okay." And he goes upstairs and he has like a YouTube video playing of hammering sounds. And he's just sitting on the floor drinking a beer watching football. And like every so often he like picks up a hammer and just like hammers it on the ground. And then she called up to him like pretending because she totally caught him in the act. She runs downstairs. She goes, "How's it going, babe?" And he's like, "It's going." And she like takes a video of him and he's just sitting there on the ground, just chilling.
incredible.
She's like, "Yeah, so you're like really working hard, aren't you?" And he's like, "Oh."
Fucking got him.
So, um, she's like, I'm not gonna die for you, my guy. And he's like, it's supposed to be romantic.
Everything about his courtship is really bad. Like, he's
Yeah.
just not. It's weird because I think he gets her, but he's got this like notion of what it's supposed to be like, and he's following that, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just everything is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes it easier for her to be mean to him,
Yeah. I
which
love
is
it.
great.
It's so good. So, she tells Rochester, she's like, I'm gonna show you all the bad sides because you need to see those if you're gonna be married to me. And he's like, this is great. I love this. I love
Wonderful.
all sides of you.
And
And
she's like,
Jane's like,
no, fucking get
"Mhm."
ready.
Yeah. She's like, I'm gonna be your worst nightmare, buddy.
From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, I'm going to make your life hell.
Like, I'm imagining he opens his door and it's all the red solo cups filled with water just lining the hallway. She's at the other end just flicking him off.
she she doesn't bathe the entire time, doesn't change her clothes, just like
Mhm.
comes down to dinner, very noisy eating, like very
Mm-hmm.
exaggerated in the smacking noises that she's making.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
rude to him constantly, or won't talk to him,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just eating it all up. He's like, this
Oh
is.
yeah.
He is the dog sitting in the fire going, this is fine.
Yeah. He's like, this is heaven.
Love this.
He's like, at least I'm getting attention.
All attention is good attention.
Yeah. Very Kardashian energy. All press is good press. But I just love her like inner monologue, and she's like, and I'm in love with this man. This is great.
Right. She's like, I must be cruel to him, for I love him so. I must not
Yeah.
drive him away, but I must if I must. It's like, Jane.
So brutal. It's so good.
This is how I show my affection, by being awful.
Yeah. But that is all we're going to have today. I'm so pumped. This is going to be so good. I can't wait for the next couple chapters.
Ooh, things. Things are going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But we will catch you all in the next episode. Where can the people of the internet find you and all the stuff you're doing?
People of the internet can find me on the internet at MightiestFinn on Twitter and MightyFinn on Blue Sky, where I post about my dog and my streaming projects and the books I write. So check me there for announcements. That's it.
And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.